Namaskar, welcome to Late Edition. Tonight we'll be focusing on the Make in India Week in Mumbai. The first ever capital goods sector policy was unveiled at this event by Heavy Industries Minister Anand Geete, and it envisages creation of 21 million jobs by 2025, an increase in the share of capital goods in total manufacturing. This is from 12% at present to 20% by 2025. Total production will be targeted to increase to 7.5 lakh crore rupees. This is by 2025. Currently, it is valued at about 2.3 lakh crore rupees. Now, the Prime Minister, while inaugurating this event, had said that 65% of our population is under the age of 35, and it's the country's greatest strength. He also added that another D to his 3Ds formula, which is democracy, demography, demand, and now deregulation. Let's turn to our guests in the studio. We are joined by A.K. Bhattacharya, Editor Business Standard, and Anil Bharadwaj, Secretary General of the Federation of Indian Micro and Small and Medium Enterprises. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being with us. We'll start with you, Mr. Bhattacharya. So if we look at what this event is going to be achieving, in terms of, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra has already talked. 6 lakh crore rupees worth of MOUs have been signed by the Maharashtra government, he says, 2,400 companies. And, there's a lot of business that is being done, which we really, if we have to try and expand and try and understand what is happening at this event, would you be able to do that for us?
First let's talk about the initiative. It is a commendable initiative to put together under one roof for about a week. You invite leading industrialists across the world, big countries, developed countries, and also the Indian entrepreneurs are invited, and you make them understand the potential of the Indian market and the need for them to invest and be part of the India growth story. So by way of an initiative, as I said, it is a commendable initiative.
Right.
And as you just now said, that a lot of investment intentions were announced. And once again, these will definitely help the Indian economy in terms of creating jobs, meeting domestic demand. And as you know, that Indian economic growth is right now doing well. But there are signs of weaknesses in the industrial sector. Don't forget that the manufacturing sector, so the last 2 consecutive months have seen a decline. So I think there is need for a major policy push to revive manufacturing, to create more jobs in the manufacturing sector, because manufacturing sector is much more inclusive in its approach.
Right. And
you need infrastructure support for them. So I think it's good to have these investment initiatives being announced, but to my mind, this is not going to be enough, because you need concurrent planning to make these investment intentions on the ground and see that these intentions actually translate into reality on projects, because we do have problems in terms of manpower and problems of skills.
Mr. Bharadwaj, how do you look at those problems that Mr. A.K. Bhattacharya has raised? Because what the capital goods sector policy envisages is the creation of 25 million jobs by 2025. And a majority of those jobs will be indirectly created through SMEs or component manufacturers and things like that. How would you look at that? Are the skill sets pretty much in place for that?
I think a skill set is one part of the one component of the total jigsaw puzzle. And but as Mr. Bhattacharya mentioned, ultimately the big message is that we are trying to invite investment.
Yes.
FDI with technology, know-how, and when big companies come up and set up their manufacturing bases here, there is a value chain, there is a supply chain that gets established, and ultimately technology diffusion takes place, and the beneficiaries are MSMEs, both as supplier and indirect beneficiary in terms of diffusion of technology. So the whole value chain gets strengthened, and in that process they end up creating a lot of jobs.
Could you give us some examples of what's already happening? Because we know that there are already so many proposals that have come in for electronics manufacturing in our country, and we already know that Xiaomi and Huawei are also producing here. We are going to have Foxconn, which is going to produce very soon. In this particular space, we are already seeing a lot of activity, aren't we?
Absolutely. See, immediately the process that has started is in the electronic sector, because there was a first mover advantage in the electronic sector. But as the Make in India week perhaps underlines that, they are expanding now not only from electronics, capital goods sector, aviation, defense sector and so on. So I feel that, with the passage of time, we would see major investment coming not only just in electronic sector, but also in other sectors as well.
Mr. Bhattacharya, in terms of automobiles, is another sector that we can definitely have potential. And Prime Minister already talked about, Japan importing cars from India. Of course, they are importing the Maruti Suzuki car from India.
Right.
So, but anyway, that at least there is, a big manufacturer of cars is importing from India.
Well, I think India as a manufacturing hub is an idea whose time has come, as they say. And I think we have the big advantage right now, because geographically, as well as in terms of the huge the manpower potential on paper we have. And we can be a hub which uses its manufacturing skills and manufacturing projects to use for exports to different other countries. We already export a lot of automobiles, not just to Japan, but also to Europe and even the US.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, but the question that I raised a little earlier is this, that it is important that you have these investments in place, and at the same time focus also on basic infrastructure, skills development, and thirdly, making sure that the banking system is in place so that financial flow to these new investments do not become an obstacle. So I think we need concurrent action on all these fronts. Skills to be improved, and you need investments in infrastructure, and also you need the banking sector, the weaknesses that are clearly in evidence of late, to be addressed without any further delay.
Mr. Bhattacharya, a lot of the the problems that in terms of ease of doing business, there were some 300 plus points which were being raised, and about 99 of them have been sorted out, is what Commerce Minister Nirmala Sitharaman told the gathering there at the Make in India week. And she said that, we are working very fast to bring in much more into ease of doing business. The Prime Minister has also added into a 3D formula the fourth D, which is deregulation. And we are seeing already, that India is was ahead of China and the US in terms of FDI coming into it was the leader in terms of FDI coming in the first half of 2015, and even in the second half we had a pretty big jump, and we are expecting to have FDI to the tune to about 40 to 45% to grow in 2016 despite the global slowdown. So big targets, and we are achieving them as well.
Ease of doing business, I think, is one area where there has been a lot of traction in the last couple of months, especially last 1 year or so. And of course, it will be seen that we have jumped from 142 in ease of doing business index to 130, and perhaps with three very important initiatives that have been taken, especially in the last couple of months, particularly setting up of commercial courts law, where the parallel courts will be established up till from the center to the till the district level, and secondly, insolvency and bankruptcy court, which is currently in the parliament. And third, for example, there are other interesting measures that have been taken. So I think ultimately we are moving, and there is a specific or special attention have been paid in easing doing business.
But I will add to his demand and wish list on labor reforms, that we need to reform labor so that we are not seen as behind any other country, competing country, in terms of ease of doing business.
But we are functioning in a global slowdown environment. So money in any case would also be coming into the fastest growing economy, which is India. But it once again raises the very core economic questions. what to produce, who to produce for, and how to produce them. Now, who to produce for is important. I mean, we have a huge market, and that's what Christine Lagarde said, is that, the domestic demand is what is going to drive our market, but are we actually going to be producing enough? Is it only for our domestic demand we should be exporting? And what is the export market?
Well, on the
of course, we're thinking the long-term future.
Yeah, absolutely. Exports front, I think the outlook is fairly gloomy. If you look at the global markets, most of India's markets are not doing very well. Global exports are also slowing. So I think if India's growth engine has to rev up, then it has to rev up on the strength of India's domestic markets. And I think India's domestic market is still intact. There are some weaknesses in some sectors. As I said, in the banking sector, there are some problems in our skill set, infrastructure. But apart from that, if you fix them, and they are eminently fixable problems, I would not doubt that India's growth can be sustained by domestic demand.
Sure.
As a matter of fact, in the current situation, India doesn't have much of a choice, because Europe, the US, Japan, everybody is just decelerating, and growth is not going to be seen there. So if you have to look at growth, and China is in trouble, so if you have to see growth, you have to look at the Indian market, and everybody will be coming in.
Demand and deregulation are the important parts
deregulation is very, very important.
Of what the Prime Minister said. We're going to take a short break. You're watching Late Edition. We're discussing the Make in India Week and investment possibilities. Do stay with us.
These days, it's important to have an updated resume. Here's mine. Praful Kumar, Major Praful Kumar, Para Special Forces. 3 years served in a hostile zone. Tough assignment. Special service in J&K. Made some friends there. Combat free-fall specialist. Willing to shed blood. As you can see, I wear my heart on my sleeve and my resume on my uniform. Which other company lets you do that?
We are India's most exciting workplace, and we are making you an offer. The Indian Army. Live a life less ordinary.
उंगली थाम के जिसने चलना सिखाया, कड़ी मेहनत करके हमको पढ़ाया, हमारी खुशियों को अपनी खुशी बनाया, जिंदगी के हर सुख दुख में जो एक साया बनकर साथ रहे, ढलती उम्र में इन्हें अकेला ना छोड़ें। ध्यान रखें, माता पिता एवं वरिष्ठ नागरिक भरण पोषण एवं कल्याण अधिनियम 2007 के तहत माता पिता की देखभाल करना हमारा कर्तव्य है, और उनको बेसहारा छोड़ना एक दंडनीय अपराध है। सामाजिक न्याय और अधिकारिता मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
धीरे धीरे सब जान गए हैं कि हम जैसे बिना MRP, वजन और यूज बाय डेट लिखे हुए पैकेट गलत हैं।
हाँ, तभी तो कोई हमें अपने साथ नहीं ले जाना चाहता है।
उम्मीद मत छोड़ो पैकेट भाई, कोई तो होगा ही जिसे दुकानदार चाचा बेवकूफ बना लेंगे।
सही पैक पर वस्तु की कीमत, वजन, निर्माता कंपनी का नाम तथा इस्तेमाल की तारीख जरूरी है। आप बताइए, आप जानने वालों में से हैं या बेवकूफ बनने वालों में से? जागो ग्राहक, जागो।
ये चांदनी का चौक है।
ये रविंद्र का सेतु है।
मरीना का बीच है
ये आजाद का मैदान है। खड़े सिंह दा मार्ग है। चित्तरंजन का एवेन्यू है ये। अन्ना का नगर यही है।
गंगा की है ये नदी।
ये लक्ष्मी की कॉलोनी है।
बंकिम का स्ट्रीट है ये। नरीमन का पॉइंट है ये। और मैं तुम्हें इसे गंदा नहीं करने दूंगा। यहाँ कचरा
नहीं फेंकने दूंगी।
पान नहीं थूकने दूंगा। केले का छिलका
नहीं फेंकने दूंगी।
अगर एक बार 125 करोड़ देशवासी तय कर ले कि मैं गंदगी नहीं करूंगा, तो दुनिया की कोई ताकत नहीं है जो हिंदुस्तान को गंदा कर सके।
स्वच्छ भारत, एक कदम स्वच्छता की ओर।
I fire hard and I fire strong. I like solving problems. Facing an enemy at a higher position is a problem. Being 2 points down is a problem. And the bigger the problem, the sweeter the victory. What do I like more? Going to battle or firing my pistol? I like the fact that I do both for India.
We are India's most exciting workplace, and we are making you an offer. The Indian Army. Live a life less ordinary.
Welcome back. We are discussing the Make in India Week, and we have in the studio Mr. Anil Bharadwaj, Secretary General of the Federation of Indian Micro and Small and Medium Enterprises, and A.K. Bhattacharya, Editor of the Business Standard. Mr. Bharadwaj, some of the areas where India has strengths are engineering, R&D is what analysts say, and of course in terms of defense and the components and manufacturing of the smaller aspects of defense procurement. And the capital expenditure for defense is going to quadruple in the next few years. So there's a lot of scope, at least in the defense sector and also in the engineering space.
In defense particularly, if, as you must be knowing that recently the defense production policy also has been announced. So there is a clear offset policy again that has been, you can say, put in place.
Right.
Now MSMEs again would be looking at this possibility that how they can become part of the supply chain of the large manufacturers of defense production, especially like company like aerospace, Saab. Saab, for example, recently said, I think that they are going to spend a couple of billions of dollars, and they are going to set up supply chains also. So I think MSMEs will have a good chance to become part of supply chain in the defense sector. Right. Through the offset policy.
Right. And in terms of engineering itself and the larger, linking it to the electronics industry, etc., would that also be helping you?
Sure, sure.
Okay. Mr. Bhattacharya, when we are looking at trying to bring in this kind of FDI, also you did speak about the ease of doing business, but part of what this capital goods sector policy is that they are asking for the uniform GST to come in, stepping up certain other kinds of reforms and taxation, labor reforms, all these sort of things that you were asking for. I mean, it's part of the policy. It's being asked in a sense, so that actually is on the anvil, one would say, isn't it, in terms of trying to get things done?
Yeah, I mean, of course.
We already know that the GST bill is stuck in Parliament.
That's right. I mean, I think that's the unfortunate part in the entire thing, that we have a bankruptcy code which is in Parliament. We have a plan to introduce commercial courts, as Mr. Bharadwaj was talking about. But all these things, GST is there, but there are all these legislative proposals are contingent on a smooth functioning of Indian Parliament in the budget session. Now, going by the current mood that you've seen, today's meeting between the Prime Minister and the opposition parties, yes. Now, one doesn't get this impression that perhaps apart from the budget, which is a money bill, one would see much progress in other crucial economic bills like the bankruptcy bill or the real estate bill. So I think it is important that there is political maturity on the part of our political classes, and also there is necessary overtures to be made by the government to the opposition parties, so that some understanding is reached that these important economic political laws do not get stalled in Parliament and they get passed, so that India's economic challenges are not found too daunting. Right. Because without them, even though you have a capital goods policy, even though FDI is coming in droves almost, you will not be able to meet their aspirations. There is something that the government can very well do to ensure that these FDIs keep coming into this situation, which is tax reforms. Right. And unfortunately, I think India's tax department often come out with contradictory signals, and the foreign investors are a little confused whether the promises that are made from the political leadership, from the political leaders, are actually being accepted in spirit and letter by the tax department. So that is a big area of concern.
We need to take a short commercial break, but I'll come back to you with closing comments after that. Do stay with us. You're watching Late Edition.
I really like cars. So just 2 weeks into the job, They gave me a company car. A big company car. It's got 14 wheels and quite the ground clearance. It can go pretty much anywhere, but it's not the easiest thing to park. The acceleration is decent. The handling is shaky. The engine noise is deafening. AC? Well, you can't have everything. But you know what? I love the gun.
We are India's most exciting workplace, and we are making you an offer. The Indian Army. Live a life less ordinary.
अरे वाह, हार तो बड़ा सुंदर है तुम्हारा। आर्टिफिशियल है क्या?
आर्टिफिशियल? असली सोने का है। ढेरों डिजाइन्स में से चूज किया है मैंने।
फिर तो BIS हॉलमार्क का निशान भी जरूर होगा। सिर्फ डिजाइन्स और चमक से नहीं, असली सोने का भरोसा होता है हॉलमार्क का निशान, क्योंकि सोना सिर्फ आभूषण नहीं है, ये है जिंदगी भर की पूंजी।
जागो ग्राहक जागो। उंगली थाम के जिसने चलना सिखाया, कड़ी मेहनत करके हमको पढ़ाया, हमारी खुशियों को अपनी खुशी बनाया, जिंदगी के हर सुख दुख में जो एक साया बनकर साथ रहे, ढलती उम्र में इन्हें अकेला ना छोड़ें। ध्यान रखें, माता पिता एवं वरिष्ठ नागरिक भरण पोषण एवं कल्याण अधिनियम 2007 के तहत माता पिता की देखभाल करना हमारा कर्तव्य है और उनको बेसहारा छोड़ना एक दंडनीय अपराध है। सामाजिक न्याय और अधिकारिता मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार द्वारा जनहित में जारी।
आप सबने दुनिया भर में क्या मिसाल बनाई है, जिस सफाई से आपने कचरा वहीं फेंक दिया। और मन्नू आंटी क्या कूड़ा फेंकती हैं, ओलंपिक्स के गोला फेंकने वाले भी शर्मा जाएं। और ये देखिए, लक्ष्मी भाभी की सफाई तो गांव-गांव में प्रसिद्ध है। हमारे सुखिया भैया मन की करते, जहां सोचा वहीं शौच कर दिया। ये देश जो आप ही का घर है, उसे क्यों गंदा करते हैं? थोड़ी शर्म कर लो, सोच स्वच्छ कर लो।
अगर एक बार 125 करोड़ देशवासी तय कर लें कि मैं गंदगी नहीं करूंगा, तो दुनिया की कोई ताकत नहीं है जो हिंदुस्तान को गंदा कर सकती है।
स्वच्छ भारत, एक कदम स्वच्छता की ओर।
These days, it's important to have an updated resume. Here's mine. Praful Kumar, Major Praful Kumar, Para Special Forces. 3 years served in a hostile zone. Tough assignment. Special service in J&K. Made some friends there. Combat free fall specialist. Willing to shed blood. As you can see, I wear my heart on my sleeve and my resume on my uniform. Which other company lets you do that?
We are India's most exciting workplace, and we are making you an offer. The Indian Army. Live a life less ordinary.
Welcome back. Well, Mr. Bharadwaj, we are in the budget season, just 2 weeks left for the budget. What will the MSME segment, be expecting from the budget in terms of promoting Make in India?
In the context of Make in India, one of the most important principle that should never be diluted is that import duties on the raw material should never be more than the finished product. Otherwise, it leads to an economic phenomena called reverse tariff escalation. Recently, for example, what has happened is we have a minimum import price imposed on the steel. So we have raw steel that is coming is becoming costly.
Right.
But if the cycle is coming, it is cheaper. So I mean, what we are trying to really encourage, are we trying to encourage production of finished goods in the country, or we are trying to save the raw material producers in the country? So it's a value judgment. What you are trying to protect? Are you trying to protect the capital, or you're trying to capital the human being that are employed in the supply chain of a particular product?
Right.
So that, I think, in the budget we would be requesting the finance minister to address this issue.
Mr. Bhattacharya, would you see that some of the issues with regard to our duties, there are concerns because of, well, let's say, our obligations in terms of WTO or our obligations in terms of FTAs, which may have a problem with regard to our MSME segment?
I think whether it is the WTO compliant or not, I think some of the measures that we may take or may contemplate taking may not be WTO compliant, but whether they're compliant or not, the point Mr. Bharadwaj makes is absolutely correct.
Right.
Because you cannot have a situation where we go back in time to the 1970s and 1980s policies where there is an inverse duty structure, where you have the raw material whose price, the domestic prices, are going up because you have got a minimum input price, and whereas the finished product, where they can come in and flood the market. So I think, what are you trying to protect? Are you trying to protect a few steel producers at the cost of a large number of cycle manufacturers? And I think this is the real danger, and I think it will be very nice if the union budget can actually set the priorities of tax policy clear, and plus ensure that enough money is available to the infrastructure sector, because the infrastructure gap needs to be filled.
And one final question to you, Mr. Bharadwaj. In terms of employment generation, this is a sector, the MSME is the sector that, I mean, the group of companies that is going to provide the highest employment. But skill sets, and we have Skill India and we have Digital India. Are we actually moving in the right direction in terms of trying to bring out the best of this demographic dividend that we have, which the Prime Minister says is our greatest strength, 65% of the population below the age of 35?
See, there is no doubt it's a very powerful message. And that message is being taken very seriously word over, that, India is in a sweet spot where we have a demographic dividend. And as you rightly mentioned, but this is potential. Whether the potential would be realized or not would depend entirely whether we would be able to train our people well, whether those people are employed well, and then they create the demand, which becomes ultimately a virtuous cycle of higher growth. That has happened in many countries. But the challenge is, what has happened, for example, in China or in East Asian countries or as Asian tigers. Most of it has happened when they could come out with industrial policies under the WTO regime, which was WTO was not there. So they could come out with policies which were really interventionist. They could protect the market producers, but that is not happening, or that is not possible now. So we have to come out with very innovative solutions specific to Indian problems.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on Late Edition. There are 1.1 lakh crore rupees worth of proposals for electronics in India, with Xiaomi, Huawei and Foxconn setting up units in India. FDI is expected to grow between 40 to 45% in 2016. This is despite the global slowdown. Engineering, R&D and aerospace is projected to grow at 10% to 13%. And the Maharashtra government, it has said that it has signed over 6 lakh crore rupees worth of MOUs with over 2,400 companies. This is as a result of the Make in India week itself. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.